Me and Turki know each other, and then we wanna see what.
See Canelo Crawford next.
We'll see. It's a possibility there always. No, we'll see what happens.
Have you spoke with Turkey about that show? About Canelo?
We know each other. We don't talk that much for make a deal and anything, but you know, we now know each other, and we.
The boxing world is buzzing with anticipation as rumors solidify around a blockbuster fight between the sport's best, Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford.
Everything is possible. We'll see. We want to talk about it, sit down really well, and figure out something.
Canelo Alvarez, who previously dismissed the idea of fighting Terence Crawford and labeled the matchup as a lose-lose situation, has now shifted his stance, openly acknowledging that Crawford poses a real threat.
He's too small to compete with you.
No, he's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. He's a smart fighter, and I take everything seriously. But you know, we'll see what.
Turki Al-Sheikh, the influential head of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, appears to be leading the effort to make this dream matchup a reality. During a recent Ring magazine event in London, Al-Sheikh and Alvarez were seen in close discussions, and Alvarez hinted at the chance of facing Crawford. Alvarez remarked, "There's always a chance, we'll see, but there's always a possibility. We're here to do the best business." Canelo Alvarez spoke hopefully about his recent meeting with Turki Al-Sheikh, shedding light on his approach to partnerships and future possibilities in the boxing world.
I like to work with everybody. You know, I'm a free agent, and I like to work with everybody. You know, I like to have the doors.
The potential fight is monumental, not only for its star power but also for its timing. Both fighters are at the pinnacle of their careers, albeit coming from vastly different paths. Not only has Canelo Alvarez stated his willingness to consider the highly anticipated bout, but Terence Crawford has also consistently shown keen interest in making the fight happen. You want the news? Tell them we're going for Canelo next. Yes, tell them. Let's go. Come on. Crawford, known for his relentless ambition and readiness to take on tough challenges, has publicly called for this matchup multiple times, showing his desire to solidify his legacy by facing one of boxing's most iconic figures.
Yeah. Just put me in the game, coach. Just put me in the game. Canelo Crawford.
While speaking with Crawford, Turki Al-Sheikh, the head of the General Entertainment Authority in Saudi Arabia, shared his ambitious vision for boxing's future. He highlighted his intentions for the American market, saying, "In the American market, I want to see Canelo Crawford." Al-Sheikh also shared his prediction about the potential fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, saying it could take place in May. He suggested that the matchup could be featured on an undercard alongside another exciting fight between Ryan Garcia and Teofimo Lopez.
Canelo versus Crawford in May on the undercard, Ryan Garcia and Teofimo Lopez. Look, and here's the thing, magnificent card.
Funadolo shared his excitement about the possible fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. He pointed out the obvious challenge of a weight difference but remained optimistic that the matchup could still be arranged. Adolo stressed the mutual interest of both fighters, Crawford's desire to secure the fight and Canelo's potential willingness, provided the financial terms are attractive, were central to his case.
I want to see Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. I know there's a weight disparity or discrepancy between the two, right? One at 154, one at 168, but something can happen there. Crawford desperately wants to fight. I believe Canelo wants it for the right.
AO reflected on the greater landscape of boxing and the significance of such a fight in today's scene. He underscored the unique excitement surrounding a potential Las Vegas event and the global attention such a bout would draw. For Adolo, the combination of timing, circumstances, and star power makes this fight an extraordinary and important matchup for the sport.
Many fights out there now for Canelo because Benavidez and Morale have now gone up to 175 and he didn't really seem interested in fighting them. And I don't think there's any interest for Crawford to fight anyone else at 154 or 160. So it's the super fight of all super fights. And when you've covered the sport for nearly 30 years, you know nothing beats a big Vegas fight. Nothing. And this one would just sell out anything in Vegas and it'll be enormous.
Gareth A. Davies engaged in a discussion with Adolo about the potential fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, highlighting its unique appeal and historical resonance. Davies pointed out the age dynamic between the two fighters, noting that Crawford is older than Canelo, even though it might not appear so due to his energy and form. He remarked, "This is a weird one because Crawford's older than Canelo, even though he doesn't look like it, act like it, or feel like it. But Canelo obviously is an older guy in terms of the years he's put in, 20 years as a pro, so it's an amazing run." Continuing the conversation, Davies compared the potential fight to legendary bouts of the past, especially between Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. By drawing parallels to the Leonard-Hagler bout, Davies emphasized the magnitude and possible legacy of a Crawford-Canelo matchup, framing it as a defining moment for modern boxing.
Big super fights, because it harks back to Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. Leonard stepping up to the middleweight division and beating Marvin Hagler. Maybe it's a similar kind of fight in a way, without critiquing too heavily or comparing Canelo to one of my all-time heroes, Marvin Hagler. Obviously one was a southpaw as well in Hagler, so I think it's a brilliant big.
Alvarez, a 4-division world champion with a 60-2 record, has faced some criticism for his cautious matchmaking lately. Crawford, on the other hand, recently vacated the welterweight division after gaining undisputed status for the second time in his career, bolstering his pound-for-pound credentials with a decisive win over Errol Spence. This clash promises not only a thrilling contest but also an opportunity for both men to cement their legacies in the annals of boxing history. However, the road to this fight has been far from smooth. Alvarez's reluctance to face Crawford previously sparked controversy, especially when reports emerged that he had set a $150 million purse as a precondition for the fight.
Everybody wants to fight me. Everybody calling me out and everything, and like I say, I have nothing to win with Crawford. 2-3 weights class less than me. But if the money is right, why not?
British promoter Eddie Hearn shed light on the challenges in negotiating the bout, adding, "I'd be very surprised if that fight happens. I think His Excellency has been pushing that fight, but it didn't seem like it was something Canelo really wanted to do, to be honest." Despite such hurdles, Turki Al-Sheikh's drive to make the fight happen has reignited optimism among fans. Eddie Hearn issued a cautionary note to Terence Crawford regarding the possible challenge of facing Canelo Alvarez at super middleweight. Acknowledging Crawford's exceptional skill set, Hearn stressed the difficulty of going up to 168 pounds to face a fighter as seasoned and powerful as Canelo. Hearn mentioned, "Crawford is an unbelievable fighter, but taking on Canelo at 168 pounds is a whole different ball game. The size, the power, and the experience Canelo brings at that weight are just too much." Hearn felt that the physical advantages Canelo possesses at super middleweight could prove insurmountable for Crawford, who has never fought in such a high weight class. While Crawford's technical brilliance is unquestioned, the stark weight disparity might tilt the odds greatly in Canelo's favor.
Crawford going to be able to bridge this weight gap?
Yeah, I don't think he can, in all honesty. I mean, he might not be able to bridge it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
one weight class.
68, yeah, but you're coming up from 35. 35, 40, 47, 54. Sooner or later, it's one too many. And 68 is definitely too many. But Crawford's brilliant. Like, he's a genius. He's a generational.
Comments highlight the daunting nature of this potential matchup, underscoring the immense task Crawford would face in trying to conquer Canelo, a division where he has established himself as one of the most dominant forces.
Maybe he can find a way to do it, but I feel he'd be hugely outsized against Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. But you have to use your movement. If you're Terence Crawford in that fight, the last thing you want to do is stand and trade. He'd be moving a lot in that fight, trust me. I'm not saying he'd be running, but he would be moving a lot.
Cool.
Comparisons between Alvarez and Crawford underscore the unique draw of this matchup. Alvarez, known for his exceptional head movement and flexibility, has conquered weight classes ranging from junior middleweight to light heavyweight. His resume includes wins over elite opponents such as Gennady Golovkin, Sergey Kovalev, and Caleb Plant. Crawford, unbeaten in 41 fights, boasts unmatched versatility and ring IQ. A southpaw with devastating power and precision, Crawford has become famous for his ability to adjust mid-fight and dismantle even the most formidable opponents. Amir Khan compared how it is easier to hit Canelo than it is to hit Crawford.
What are the differences between them? Canelo's stronger and is easily hit. Very easily hit, very easily. Compared to when I fought against Crawford, I couldn't hit clean. So really that's the difference. And they both hit hard.
Depot highlighted the diminishing pool of viable opponents for both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford as a driving reason behind the potential for their much-anticipated fight. Adola stated, "I think both are running out of opponents, that's why I think it could happen." Edgar Berlanga recently weighed in on the highly anticipated potential matchup between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, giving his thoughts on the fight. He recognized the exceptional skills both fighters bring to the table but pointed out that one key factor that could influence Canelo's performance is weight and height. Berlanga stated that while Canelo is a formidable force, his size could be a challenge when facing a fighter like Crawford, who possesses great technical ability and agility.
And my brother, Terence Crawford, wants to fight Canelo.
Yeah.
Just from your expert opinion, knowing how Canelo fights, what he's like in the ring, I know you haven't been in the ring with Terence, but what do you think of that fight?
I truly believe, that, anything can happen in boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that, is his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better, you know what I'm saying? But, Crawford is a legend, bro.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can't.
The stylistic difference between Alvarez's aggressive counterpunching and Crawford's cerebral approach tantalizes, but questions remain about how the weight disparity could affect the fight. Concerns about weight classes are always there, as it's easier to fight some smaller boxers in a new weight class, but Canelo is a different game.
You stick your hand in some shit you might not want to stick your hand in. So, who knows? It could be true, it could not. But we seen the rumors, you know what I'm saying? If we have to fight, I'm just gonna give it straight. I don't think Crawford's ready for this level of smoke. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Canelo's a different man. He's a different beast. He's a different animal. Hey, it's a weight class for a reason. Hey, I'm gonna say, hey, bro. Crawford, you stick your hand in some shit you might not want to stick your hand in. So.
He just stuck his hand.
This the worst you gonna stick your hand in. That Mexican killer, I'm telling you, Canelo gonna take his head off.
Crawford has dominated at welterweight, 147 pounds, and recently moved up to super welterweight, 150 pounds, while Alvarez has been competing at super middleweight, 168 pounds, and occasionally light heavyweight, 175 pounds. The weight difference could prove a significant obstacle, as Alvarez's natural size advantage may test Crawford's ability to execute his usual strategies.
Stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. So let's not do that.
Gareth A. Davies discussed the intriguing dynamic between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, saying that their styles and current career trajectories make them well suited for each other. He mentioned that the potential risk of Crawford stepping up in weight is a key factor that adds an element of jeopardy to the fight, making it even more compelling. He stated, "I think they are made for each other in a sense that the danger is there with Terence stepping up." He looked fine against Israel Madrimov, a very tough 154-pound boxer. That's the great thing as we go into this year. Past controversies surrounding Alvarez's reluctance to face certain opponents have added a layer of skepticism to this possible fight. Critics have pointed to his decision to sidestep mandatory challengers like David Benavidez and William Monroe Jr., with some saying that Crawford's persistent call-outs might also go unanswered. Devin Haney, who is also in the sights of Turki Al-Sheikh for a possible matchup with Ryan Garcia, made it clear that his unwavering support lies with Terence Crawford, citing his extraordinary skills and qualities. While Devin didn't go into great detail about why he holds this view, he did stress that when it comes to boxing intelligence and technical ability, both in the ring and outside of it, Crawford stands head and shoulders above the competition.
But who have you got if that happens?
I can't go against Crawford. I fuck with Crawford. I like him in the ring, out the ring. I think that he's the best right now.
Andre Rozier, a respected figure in the boxing world, recently shared his thoughts on the possibility of Terence Crawford facing Canelo Alvarez. While he acknowledged Crawford's exceptional ability, Rozier raised concerns about the wisdom of going straight to a super middleweight fight against Canelo. He expressed confidence in Crawford's ability to fight at 154 pounds, which he feels is a natural progression for the welterweight champion, given his skill set and physical attributes.
Can he possibly do at this point to regain that status? beat someone of note in another weight class.
However, Rosier draws a line at the prospect of Crawford moving up to 168 pounds to face Canelo. He described Canelo as a different beast at that weight, saying that the jump could prove too much for Crawford. Canelo is a different beast at that weight, Rosier explained, highlighting the significant physical challenges Crawford would face against such a dominant force in the super middleweight class. Rosier's caution underscores the risks involved in a fight that many fans see as one of the biggest potential matchups in boxing, but one that could carry serious consequences for Crawford's career.
It's going to be enough for him. Him going up to fight and quote unquote, if it should happen, Canelo, I don't see that ending well. It's just too much and too far to go. But that's what it would.
Alvarez's recent win over Edgar Berlanga, while impressive, did little to silence these critics. Crawford, however, remains undeterred. His bold move up in weight shows his willingness to challenge himself against the best, making this potential fight even more compelling. SEBO, who has sparred with Canelo Alvarez for 80 rounds, recently shared his thoughts on the Mexican fighter's skills and character. Bio described Canelo as a very nice guy outside the ring, highlighting his amiable nature. However, he emphasized that Canelo's demeanor changes once the bell rings.
Very nice guy. He's a very nice guy. Obviously, in the ring, he's not as nice. You know, he picks the shots, and he's very, very good at, you know, the things that he does. He's a very, very just all-around fighter. He can come forward, he can go back.
Bio, who has sparred with Canelo Alvarez extensively, offered further insight into his adaptability and versatility. He explained that Canelo's approach in the ring is tailored to the situation, emphasizing that if Canelo doesn't display certain skills, it's because he likely doesn't need them at that time. Bio noticed that if Canelo doesn't show any set of skills, it's because he probably didn't need them. Bio noted Canelo's adaptability and stated, "I've seen enough rounds with him and others to know that he's very versatile and can switch up. He can focus and train on a particular skill and master it." Keith Thurman, a past world champion and boxing expert, recently shared his thoughts on why Terence Crawford might feel confident in a potential fight with Canelo Alvarez. He cited Canelo's recent fight with Jermell Charlo as a key example, noting how Charlo's defensive adjustments after being knocked down compromised his offensive output.
Fought Charlo. Besides the knockdown, Charlo was able to protect himself very well against Canelo's onslaught. The only problem was, while protecting himself, there was no off.
According to Thurman, Charlo's failure to counter effectively allowed Canelo to control the fight and dominate. Thurman highlighted that Crawford, in contrast, excels in situations where both defense and offense are important. His adaptability and skill in executing counterattacks make him a dangerous opponent, especially when faced with an aggressive force like Canelo.
If Charlo can go so untouched by just being, you know, once he got dropped, his, you know, spider senses fully awakened, right? Boom! So now hands up, don't make no mistakes. So, you know, that's how it is. We saw it in the Munguia fight, you know, we saw it in the last fight. It's those little mistakes that end up having.
As the potential Canelo versus Crawford fight continues to stir excitement in the boxing world, the question remains, will Canelo's size advantage be enough to overcome Crawford's brilliance in the ring, or will the lighter, faster Crawford prove to be the better fighter? This clash of styles promises to be one of the most thrilling fights in recent memory. What do you think? Who would you bet on to win in this great showdown? Please let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and follow for more boxing news updates and in-depth analysis. Stay tuned for the latest on this exciting fight.